Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Dislabel Guy podcast. I'm your host, the Dislabel Guy. On this episode, I want to talk to you about being smart. It sounds like an easy discussion that we should be able to have, but for some, it could be very difficult at times, especially with the points that I'm going to hit on. So point number one in being smart today, I would say, is with your timing. I had a conversation this morning with my boy who's a businessman. He's an engineer, works pretty much about 50, 60 hours a week, has a rental property on the side. And we were talking about time and then everything about, use your time wisely and stuff like that. And he was like, he rather pay for somebody to do things for him so he can have free time, or have time freed up so he could do other things to make other investments. And that works good for him, but not for somebody other, maybe not for others. I talked to another friend, she has rental property too, and she would tell me about as far as her tenants had moved out, but she pretty much does everything herself. She has a handyman, but she doesn't have a rental property management company handle those affairs, so she pretty much handles everything herself. And then I have another friend who owns an apartment building in Washington D.C., and he's the same way. He rather be the man that handles everything, and the issues with the tenant, he go downtown and stuff, sit in the courtroom and everything, and wait to see what they say. So that's one experience when it comes to timing, being smart with your time, being wise. I know for me, as a disabled person, time is very crucial for me. So I think about when I was I think back when I was always going into the building and working. My time was precious. Precious for one thing, that I had to always make sure I got there on time. And because I just didn't want to be the weak link just because I was disabled. So I had to do what I had to do. I will always get there pretty much at least an hour early or an hour and a half early before my tour of duty started. And I've been doing that pretty much for about, I guess you could say, 10 or 15 years. I don't have to do that now, being that um, I work from home. Like, I just log onto my computer. But back in the day, like I said, when I was going into the building every day, I would be there early. And it just shows good work ethics. And it shows that, hey, if this person is very dependable, um, they might not could do everything, and that they have some kind of limitations. But we know one thing, they want to be there every day on time. And just, you can always depend on them and count on them to be there and be somebody that you can lean on for support. The second thing I want to talk about is your living. Um, I think this is an issue right here because we always want to try to live in the areas that are, well, not live in the areas, but I think at times we are scared to move from our comfort zone. But for me, I've made this move myself. I'll be in Florida in August, and I did it for two reasons. One reason was, again, I was being smart, so I was trying to move to an area that was a more warmer climate than the DC metropolitan area. I mean, in the winters it could be brutal, down to like the teens and stuff. So I just got tired of that, and I also noticed that you live a little longer when you get more sun and you feel better every day. So that was me being smart. And also it was part of the cost of living. DC, I have a friend that's from Atlanta. She I think her lease ran out this in June, and she's trying to relocate to Atlanta from to DC. Now you might say, hey, that's the same thing. That's a bigger but for the metropolitan areas. So the rent might be different. Not really. Atlanta, you still can find some places for like maybe $800-900 a month. In DC, the average place up there is going for 1600, 1700, and that's for a 1 bedroom. A lot of people in DC have roommates or they just struggling, trying to live paycheck to paycheck. So that isn't really being smart. If you're born and raised there, it might be a little different because it's something that you're used to. So like me, for example, I was born and raised there. So I never seen the really struggle that most of America experienced, especially when we went through the recession and everything. I mean, because I was living in DC. Everybody pretty much worked for the government and stuff and or local businesses around the area. So people was going on like it was nothing. But if you go to the other places like Nebraska, Arkansas, Michigan, just to name a few, these people were struggling tremendously. And as I've been in different locations of the US, I've seen the struggle in locations. So you gotta be smart in where you live at. I mean, sometimes you gotta bite the bullet and just say, hey, maybe I should go here for maybe a year or something, or even better, maybe I should live with my parents for a year. I know back in the day when I got divorced, I actually moved back home with my mother, and many people don't get the opportunity to do this. But my mother was only charging me $300 a month, and within a year time, I saved up $10,000. So I had cut everything off. Again, the topic is being smart today. So I learned this. I learned this. I got divorced. I want to say when I was 27, and I'm 42. I'll be 42 this year. I learned this at least about 15 years ago because I guess that was my rock bottom moment when I got divorced and left the marriage with nothing in my pocket, and we couldn't pay our last month rent. I was like, you know what? I am not trying to go through this struggle again. And fortunately, God has been, had his hand over my life where I never had to depend on anybody or anything else. And also, I don't have this written down, but being smart today, you got to be smart with your finances. You got to be smart with your money. And the key point that I went in on this is it is okay to say no to people when it comes to your money. Because I can tell you, 9 out of 10, when you need help, people aren't going to be there for you. You might have one or two that might be around that can help you out, but most people are struggling themselves. So you need to just make a budget for yourself and live by that budget. Try to put some away each month, or just do whatever. Like I said, one of the reasons that I'm moving to Florida because it's way cheaper than living in the DC area. So I figured, hey, if I don't like it after a year, I'll just move somewhere else that is more to my liking. But within that year, I'm going to try to save up and take advantage of having the extra money that I was putting out when I was living in DC. So I won't have that problem anymore. So, well, hopefully I won't have that problem. You gotta take in count that some things come up out of your um that you don't have planned for. Like for example, I'm going to the dentist this weekend to get my tooth fixed. I have no clue how much that's going to cost me, but unfortunately, I'm able to have the money to pay out of pocket for whatever the cost might be. But everybody is in that situation. So, like I said, you got to be smart. Like I said, I'm fortunate. I don't have to ask nobody, hey, can you lend me $200 or $300 so I can get my tooth fixed? And so that's a blessing right there in itself. Also, being smart today, be smart in your politics, especially on who you vote for. I see the things about the abortion things, the new Roe versus Wade decision that's been overturned. I see things about the Don't Say Gay bill down in Florida. I see things about same-sex marriage. I mean, you do know you have the power to put these people in and take them out of office, but it seems like everybody is still stuck on what they are been taught or tradition, should say. So often we vote on tradition, what our parents did, what our grandparents did, instead of actually going to research the candidate, see what they're about, and regardless if they're Republican or Democrat, we don't take the time to say, hey, okay, their ideas align with mine. So I'm going to vote for this person and hope they get in office so they could implement the thought process or put in the structure of the same things that I believe in. For example, and I might go deeper in this in another episode, but my homeboy, he actually put his son in private school because he didn't like all the politics that came with being in public school. But that's he's afforded the opportunities. Again, and then I know we had the educational choice. I forgot what they call it, but where you could people voted that down. They didn't want to have the free school choice where your kid could go to any school they want if your neighborhood school wasn't up to standards. And a lot of public schools, they are definitely not up to standards. I mean, I've worked in plenty of them, and it's just like uh sometimes it's like a jail. Like I hate to say that, like they said prison to jail, but hey, sometimes it's rough in these public schools. Um, and what else? Parenting and being smart as a parent is just really being there for your child. There's really no book written and how to be a great parent. The best you could do is be there for your child. I try to be there for my daughter whenever she calls, whenever I'm there, or anything. Um, for me, being smart with her is some people might say it's being spoiling her, but I try to get everything that she needs so she doesn't have to depend on a man, especially while I'm here. And I'm trying to implement that in her life until she gets out here and able to gain her own money and funds herself. But right now she's still in school, so her main priority should be her education. So that's my impact on her and trying to help her and trying to help her grow successfully in life and just make sure I do things for her. And again, I'm gonna go back to that money part that I talked about earlier. It's okay to say no, but you have to know who to say no to. I wouldn't say no to your daughter Yeah, well, first of all, you got to know if it's a luxury or if it's something an necessity. So if it's something that she just want to go hang out, sometimes you got to say no. But if it's something that she really needs, I'm definitely going to do my best to get the things that she need. So but right now it's summertime, so she's just trying to enjoy her summer and everything. So yeah, like I said, and another thing as far as parenting, being smart today, the best thing we could do for our children is listen to them. Don't ignore them or don't take their opinion for granted. I mean, they have a lot of great ideas and opinions. And, sometimes we feel that we are the elder person in the room, so they should listen to us. No, sometimes we need to listen to them and not just listen, but hear actually what they're saying, hear what they're telling us, listen with an open mind and a receiving heart that, I'm going to take into consideration what my child is saying. And I think that's important when it comes to parenting. And lastly, the point I want to end on when it comes to being smart today is you gotta be smart with your friendships and relationships that you're involved with. Most importantly, you have to know when you have to let some people go out of your life. I mean, it might not feel good. I mean, some people you might have grew up with, they might have been a part of your life for 20, 30 years or longer. But sometimes you outgrow people and it could be for any other reasons. You might get a financial increase. You might get educational increase in your life where you're become a have a master's doctorate and it allows you the opportunities that your other friends haven't experienced, or you just might got married or something. So um, sometimes it's hard to let people go, but it's required in order for you to move forward in life. So you got to know when to let those people go, so they won't hold you down from the future that God has for you. Because sometimes people aren't supposed to go with you everywhere in life. I mean, I remember as a child when I got hit by a car, I was like, I didn't understand back then how come I went up to Wilmington, Delaware by myself, and my family was all back down in Washington D.C. And I think Wilmington, Delaware might be about maybe 2.5 hours away from DC. But I understood that, hey, that was a part of my process in life that prepared me for today, that's preparing me for the move that I'm about to make and living in Florida by myself. So I had to learn that, hey, sometimes the people that were born to or grew up around, you're not going to always be there with them. And, and I think stats show that majority of people that were born where they live at tend to stay there. I don't think that's definitely not my destination or my calling. My calling is to go somewhere else and live life to the fullest and just make my way wherever I'm at. And like I said, I've been blessed with the opportunity to teach online. So um I'm definitely grateful that I could teach online anywhere. And just going back to one of the first points I made was about work and being smart today. You are really limiting it. You are limiting yourself if you're not getting paid what you want to get paid with how things are going today. I mean, there are plenty of online jobs. You can look at Google, Amazon, um, Apple, just anything. A lot of things are online that pays that won't require you to go outside and spend your money on gas, food that you don't need, like McDonald's or stuff like that. And then to save you time and energy. So, you got to be smart in your everyday living is pretty much the point I'm making. Be smart in your politics, be smart in your living, be smart in your timing, be smart in your friendships, and be smart in your parenting. So that pretty much sums up this episode of the Disabled Guy podcast. Please hit that like, subscribe button. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.